And welcome to Raw and Unfiltered. This is another episode of Unleashed with Malcolm the Spine Nance and Lev, pro-Ukraine harness. There we go. So, gentlemen, good to of course see you as always. Malcolm,
Yeah.
hold on a sec. Lev, do you speak Hebrew?
No, I mean, I understand a little bit.
No,
but
you
I
don't.
speak it.
Okay. By the
I
way,
don't
neither
speak
do
Hebrew.
I. And I actually grew up in a yeshiva.
I went to
I don't
yeshiva.
speak Hebrew at all anymore. Malcolm, you speak Hebrew, don't you?
No, but I know some Hebrew.
Yeah, no, 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 no.
I grew up in an Orthodox neighborhood, and I learned Yiddish when I was a kid.
That's a
There you
Yiddish. I
go.
know a little bit
Well,
Yiddish.
okay. Abisala, listen to me.
Abyssala.
Imagine
Yeah.
this. Breaking news.
Okay.
5 minutes ago,
Yeah.
the U.S. Coast Guard will now reportedly stop classifying swastikas as hate symbols.
Wait, what?
The United States Coast Guard reportedly plans to reclassify the swastika as a potentially divisive symbol rather than a hate symbol, garnering criticism from Jewish organizations. This is the front page of Haaretz, which means land.
Right.
The policy change also downgrades the status of nooses and the Confederate flag, with the latter remaining banned. I mean, let me be very clear. This is not Joe Biden's government. This is not a Democratic act. This is legitimately coming out of this administration. Malcolm, I want you to start and then
Okay.
Lev,
I'm going
fucking home.
to clarify this. First off, Haaretz means our land. This is not the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard falls under the Department of Homeland Security. You are reading a downstream memo from Kristi Noem, because for the Coast Guard to even put that out, it would had to have come from the Office of the Secretary of Homeland Security. They make these decisions. So this is the secretary level saying that nooses, swastikas, all these other symbols of hate.
Confederate flags.
And you know why? Because she's hiring officers. We've seen videos of the ICE officer with the swastika on his neck. We've seen people out there using the noose as an intimidation factor. I'm sorry, straight up, this is the most white supremacist, racist government since who was it? Woodrow Wilson brought in and had them play Birth of a Nation in the White House and thought that that was one of the greatest films ever made. These guys are nuts. And, what? But you have an entire Jewish community, not the American Jewish community. You have the evangelicals supporting Israel's activities against Muslims simply because they're killing Arabs, not because they actually believe in Israel, other than the fact that they think Israel needs to be destroyed for the rapture to come and Jesus to return.
Just think about
this is ridiculous. It's horrible.
I mean, you saw this coming. I mean, just like Tucker Carlson interviewed Fuentes, and then you saw Trump coming out there instead of saying, what the hell? And this is saying, hey, Tucker could interview whoever he wants. And yeah, Fuentes was over with. He was a guest of you. I mean, downplaying it because a big part of his base is exactly what you're seeing play out. And that's why you're 100% right. It's coming from the top down. I mean, and what do you expect? I mean, Trump earlier today came out saying that we should execute sitting congressmen and congresswomen.
Save that, because I got a screaming rant to do about that.
We're going to save that before you.
Oh, by the way, Stephen Miller is the national security advisor to Trump for Homeland Security. So this is coming out of his mouth.
And Corey Lewandowski. Corey Lewandowski is right hand.
He's just stooping her and using making hot injections of advice to Kristi Noem.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Doug Emhoff, right, the husband of Kamala Harris, he actually did something which I'm kind of proud of him but he generally doesn't make statements. He's really sort of drifted out of the entire political atmosphere. He turned around and he said the following, and I quote, "Welcome to Donald Trump's America, where swastikas are no longer considered hate symbols." All right. This is unacceptable. Jewish Americans are less safe when anti Semitic hate is normalized by our government. Um, I apologize. That's not by Doug Emhoff. That was by the Jewish Democratic Council of America. What he said was leaders cannot remain silent on this if they are serious about combating anti Semitism and hate. But the part that I thought was truly, truly interesting is by Amy Spitalnik, who's CEO for the Jewish Council for Public Affairs. She said by no longer classifying them, and this is not just the swastika, but also the Confederate flag and the noose as hate symbols, the Coast Guard is doing nothing less than normalizing violent extremism.
Yeah, this is downstream from Christino. If I can make a hark back to my rudimentary Yiddish, this bullshit is meshuga. Okay. And that was all Yiddish, every word.
That's right. Meanwhile, let's pivot for a second to what Lev brought up, because this is another thing. And I don't know if you had a chance, Malcolm and Lev, to see the Caroline Levitt, Machine Gun Levitt press conference today, where the topic came up, and she made possibly one of the stupidest remarks of all time. She blames the Democrats. She blames them and says that their actions are illegal and that they should be prosecuted for making this video, for inciting violence by putting out this video, and that they should be. I want our unleashed family here to take a step back. And I don't know if you've seen that video, but it is 6 members of Congress who all were in the military or in the intelligence community saying to ignore illegal and unlawful requests for action. And I think one that they're talking about, of course, are these constant attacks on these Venezuelan alleged drug boats, where we're now over 88 confirmed dead onto it, yet there is no actual information or evidence demonstrating that those vessels were actually transporting or involved in the transportation of drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, one of the things I did on my YouTube channel at the Michael Cohen show is I actually wanted to read for Machine Gun Lips Levitt the Constitution of the United States. Specifically, you don't have to go too far, the First Amendment, where it turns around and it says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievance. What aspect of them putting out a video, whether you like it or not, what aspect of that is in violation of the First Amendment? What law is she specifically referencing when she says, holy shit, that's illegal and we have the right to prosecute?
I don't know if she knows that there's even a law exists. She doesn't need to state a law. I mean, this is the world they live in. It's like, if they believe they could do it, they don't ask permission. They do it. They don't give you no evidence to prove it. I mean, even look at perfect example of everything from the Epstein files to what we're seeing right here, just going out there and shooting boats in the middle of the ocean without any permission. Now they're coming up with some law. And we're seeing what they're crazy laws that they come up with happening in the courts. I mean, look at what's happening with Comey and others. I mean, it's this is what
Well,
it is. I mean, she's just like you call her, machine gun Kelly. She just
and stop using the word law. Michael, you know law. These aren't laws. These are fucking statements that they are now saying have the force of law because the king has made the statement. All right. I'm going to tell you
Well,
guys something about
when a king makes a statement and it basically becomes law, that's called dicta. All right.
dick.
We don't live in a dictatorship monarchy. We don't live under those rules. We live, Malcolm, hold yours up too. We live under the Constitution. All right. Plain
Keep
and
that shit
simple.
right
We
there.
are a democratic republic. You know,
Yes.
and it is the reason that they are able to say the shit that they say is because of the same First Amendment that they now want to charge these these six sitting members of Congress with. Yet they want to take advantage of whatever it is that they have the right to say. You know, Malcolm, Lev, you know what really pisses me off the most? The fact that these reporters continue to show up
Mhm.
for these lying press sessions,
Yes.
because that's all that they really are. These are pressers that are filled with Stephen Miller lies that
Mhm.
I wish somebody would sit and tell Trump, this shit is not helping you. It's not. In fact, you have every right to be angry at them putting out the video, but at least make a statement that says, President of the United States does not appreciate the actions of the six sitting members of Congress. All actions that are being taken by this administration are lawful and under the direction of the commander in chief. That's a fair statement. It's
that
illegal. We
it's
should
not
lock
fair.
them up.
It's not a
I
true
don't I don't
statement, but
I
it
don't
is a
know.
fair
We should turn
statement.
them into state.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true, Michael. Maybe it's fair. I mean, there's no law. He's not killing. He's not doing anything under the law of any United States or any constitution. Look, the bottom line is this is another. Trump is showing us what he's trying to be. He's trying to be a dictator, and that's why you are 100% right. We don't live in a dictatorship. That's why we have the No Kings rallies. That's why we're standing up and organizing and building this community. And that's why right now each and every one of you that's on here, make sure you go hit that little button up there and start cross pollinating. And make sure if you subscribe to me or Michael or Malcolm or either one, make sure you subscribe to all of us because subscriptions are for free, folks. So
Yeah.
there's no reason you shouldn't be subscribing. So if you're not subscribing here, there's something wrong because part of it is subscribing, being part of the community so you could spread the message, so you could hear because what you hear here, you will not hear on the mainstream media. You won't hear it from the pundits unless they're reporting from what they hear here. So that's important. And then for those of you that go the extra mile and become paid contributors, trust me, we appreciate it more than ever. That's why we do all these different things to be able to give you guys an extra experience because you guys allow us to keep doing what we're doing to be able to get this information out there because this is not a reality show. This is our lives. We're risking every day to be able to bring you information, even though we try and make it a little bit entertaining, but to bring you, it's important just because think about the things we're talking about, folks. For a second, take away the laughter, take away the show. We're talking about just the first cut was nationalizing, take away swastikas, making, these white nationalists legalizing or normalizing, these anti-Semites. I mean, just think, and this, like Michael said, this is from the top down. This is not, like Malcolm said, from the top down. This is not some junior officer in the Coast Guard deciding this is what we're going to do. This is from Homeland and Defense. This is coming from Stephen Miller. This is part of Project 2025. And then you got Donald Trump coming out there saying, let's execute. Execute, folks. Like, that's what I'm saying to you. Michael's 100%. He could have said anything he wanted to. He could have even normalized it, said he had the rule. He could have, but to come out and say to go execute, this is the language that we're using. At the same time, they're trying to, just remember, just a few months ago, how they were saying it's the Charlie Kirk, the left is inciting violence, the shots at Trump. Meanwhile, the president of the United States is telling his own people, calling them traitors, his own Marjorie Taylor Greene's out there saying her life is now in danger because of her. He's calling congressmen and congresswomen traitors that should be basically executed, not indicted, executed, folks. This is where we're at. So yes, this is extremely serious, and that's why we need you to spread the message. We need you to build this community. We need you to get out there and get louder, because the momentum is on our side. Because the reason why he's saying these things, the reason why this is out, is because they're rattled. After November 4th, after those elections, after when we came out and we showed them that tsunami, those waves, they started, believe me, just look at the chain of events. After that, we got they had no choice but to open up the Congress. We got the votes. We unanimously, except for one idiot, you could basically say unanimously passed the Epstein. He's already signed them, even though, yes, he's going to play with them. Yes, he's going to hold them back. And yes, it's a separate guy. But the momentum that we have, they are on their heels right now. So we need to keep going.
Yeah. Well, listen, I got something to say about this whole shebang here with regards to the Coast Guard and the Nazis and all this stuff. But first, let me touch on Caroline Levitt. Here's where the mainstream media is completely and utterly fucking broken.
Yep.
And why our voices are, if you want to have clear thought, should be heard, because we won't pull a punch for a fucking second. And here is a moment where I'm going to not do that. When Caroline Levitt made that statement, right? Why in God's earth, okay, that these people are treasonous, these people are this and that. Why did not one person in that room go, excuse me, did the First Amendment of the United States get withdrawn? Do they not have the right as American citizens to speak anymore? Nope. Fucking crickets. They don't do a thing. Same thing when he called that woman piggy the other day. Why didn't a woman journalist or another male journalist step up and say, Mr. President, that's very disrespectful?
Well, actually, hold on. They did. At the
They
presser, they
did?
asked Caroline. They did. They asked Caroline whether or not she thought, or if the president had any comments about the comment that he made calling a female journalist piggy, if he would retract that statement. And she said no.
Of
That,
course
as you
not.
know,
Of
as
course
you
not.
know, as you all know, the president is the most transparent. He is frank. He tells it the way that he sees it. He allows all of you to travel on Air Force One and to come to the Oval Office. He was insulted by the question and so on, and he responded the way that he wants to respond, which he's entitled to, because instead of talking about all of the great things that he's done, this is the response that this cult member is
Thank
running
you.
with. And
Thank you.
that's really what it is.
Oh,
She's nothing shy of a cult member. And I've seen that firsthand, as have Lev. Now, two really fast points. I take this entire scenario, which again only broke in terms of breaking news 10 minutes ago. I take it serious for many, many reasons. As those of you who follow me here on Substack, my Mea Culpa, or any of my other social media, you know that I'm the son of a Holocaust survivor from Auschwitz. And
right.
I got to tell you, my dad, who's 90 years old, one of maybe less than 220,000 that survived the Holocaust. The fact that they are now turning around and claiming that the swastika is not a symbol of hate. It was not always a symbol of hate. In fact, at one point in time, I believe it's an Indian symbol
It
that
was
many
from
hundreds
Hinduism.
of years was used as like love or something like that, unity, but it's been co-opted. All right. It's been corrupted. And what is it? It is a symbol of hate. Think about every movie that you've seen where they're flying the swastika and what took place under that banner. When you talk about the noose, with all due respect to any of these fucking white supremacist Klansmen, scumbag jerk off, there is no use for a noose except for what it was used for, and that was to hang somebody, and specifically used during the Civil War era, the 1700s, against the black population. All right? Plain and simple. And when you start talking about the Confederate flag, that too is a symbol of these fucking hillbilly lowlives that believe in racism and sexism and misogyny and xenophobia and homophobia and transphobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism. That's what that fucking flag means, plain and simple. All right. In fact, we had a civil war in this country because of that flag, where more Americans died during a single war than at any other time in U.S. history. So I want people to remember, and I want them to understand what is happening right here, right now, under our noses. And this is not acceptable as it relates to passing down good values, decency values to future generations.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I mean, listen, this is why, again, we need to get this guy out of office, because I mean, this is going to a point of, we're looking at like of no return type of stuff. I mean, this is not a joke anymore, and it hasn't been, but uh, this is pure Project 2025. I mean, we keep repeating it, we keep talking about it, but this is Russell Vought, this is, Stephen Miller, this is where this is all coming from. This is where he's
Hey,
pushing.
Lev, can I jump in for one very fast second here?
Yeah.
Because I want to remind our audience, and where it's getting there. Please keep sharing this, because this is important shit. Stephen Miller is Jewish. And you know how many books that I'm forgetting the name of the book, which is driving me crazy right now. It was the diary of a German, Malcolm. Maybe you know the name of it, you, Lev. It's a diary that was taken during World War II by a German scientist who thought that they would never come for me. He was not a scientist. He was a teacher. He was a professor at the university there in Munich. And he was like, they're not going to come for me. I'm a professor. I've been teaching here. I'm German. In fact, in those days, they didn't even have church. They didn't have temples during in Germany. What they had, they were more like Episcopalian of some sort. And I forget the name of the book. But the point that I'm trying to make, like with Stephen Miller, he thinks that if the shit comes down against Jews or black and brown and so on, that he's going to be immune because he's what? Part of the program, that he's a creator of this program. He's the first one with that bald fucking head of his and that voice where I'm going to turn around, and I am now going to turn around and to say that this is a treason. This is treason. He's the first one that they're going to turn around and to use the noose and hang them.
Yeah, the Martin Niemöller statement of first they came for the communists, but I didn't say anything because I wasn't a communist, right? There is no immunity. I've been to Auschwitz twice. The second time I went to speak at Auschwitz at a conference. And let me tell you, I was raised on the history of the Holocaust. When I was 10, my dad made me watch World at War with the videos of women in pits being shot in the back of the head to show me how horrible this really was. And he burned it into my mind. And it was an honor to actually go to Auschwitz and to see. But when I got there, the size of the facility was smaller than your imagination, which means horrible people can do horrible things in mass scale at a level you generally can't believe. But one thing that they made eminently clear is that once you were in that system, you were not immune. You were not immune. You were the people who were sent to Theresienstadt, who were the scholars, the writers, and musicians. Every one of them ended up in the ovens. And now, I was speaking to Max Boot today, and he was saying, well, we shouldn't equate this stuff so much to Nazi Germany, in order to respect the sacrifices in the Holocaust, in the Shoah. Well, the Holocaust enveloped almost 50 million people in total, 6 million in the Shoah, but the mass murders, the war in itself killed almost 50 million people. But no one should think, when there are people out there thinking, I will do horrible things to Latinos, that I will be immune. I'm surprised several ICE officers who have been arrested for DUIs and everything were Latino. And these are people who thought that they were going to get away with it. There's no
Did you
getting away
see-
when you're in the machine.
And did you see the articles that have now started to identify ICE agents? This is really something that you, me, and Lev have talked about from the very first time we started this Unleashed series. We talked about the dangers of these ICE agents who feel that they are above the law, that
Above
they
the
are
law.
above reproach. There are a slew of them that have grabbed these young Hispanic women who are here illegally, and they rape them. All right, they rape them, and they sexually assault them. All right, this is not a fucking joke. All right. This is the danger when you have a group of people who think that they are untouchable,
That's
that
the
there is
problem.
no accountability. Like that fucking prick who shot the woman in the forehead with that pepper bullet,
Yeah.
or the other fucking prick
Bastard.
who shot the clergy, the pastor in the side of the head. All right.
Okay.
They do not believe that the guy was standing there, right, asking, what do you think Jesus would say about boom, next thing in the top of the head? Did that guy on top of a building with his rifle and his 100 by 100 Bushnell scope think that he was in danger?
Yeah.
Right? That he would shoot a pastor in the fucking head?
I am
Seriously?
Mike.
Where is the fucking outrage? I don't know how to yell loud enough anymore to get people to say this has to stop, and it's not just a one-time march. Lev
No.
and I talk about this offline all the time. Not just a one-time No King's March. We need to be doing shit every single day.
Every day. You know what? I'm going to tell you, there's 3 videos that are missing that I'm certain we're going to see, if not one, all 3 of these videos. And here's what they are, because from the intelligence community, I can tell you when things have been said, directed, and instructed on the basis of behaviors. One of the videos is going to be a video taken at FLETC, at Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, or at the ICE Academy, or whatever it is. And it's going to be essentially them, or even Greg Bovino going, you don't have to obey laws. They don't have rights. They don't have the Constitution, and they don't have any reason for us to stop them. Their very presence is illegal. Their very fact that you decided it is legal. That video is eventually going to appear, because there is no way you could tell me 15,000 going up to 30,000 people are rampaging around America in lawless task force of 200, where someone did not direct them and say that you can do this. The second one is there's going to be a video of a rape.
There is. Stephen Miller said it. Stephen Miller said it out there. When he was in there.
Yeah, but I mean, it Stephen Miller out there saying that, putting it into that context is very different from them saying we've been directed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I understand.
And that video is going to come, because you know what? It's going to be a black officer. It's going to be a Latino officer who just reached the wall, who just goes, hey, you know what? I can't participate in this anymore. The second video that's going to happen is going to be a rape, because you know how guys are with their phones, right? There's going to be a sexual assault or a rape of someone in the back of a van, and someone's going to be going, hey, man, don't do that. Don't do that. And they're going to be like, what are you out there supporting these, Latinos or wetbacks or whatever they're going to say? That's the second one. And then the third one is there's going to be a leadership discussion that it's going to be, I don't know, the Vanessy conference of somebody saying what we're going to do to the Latino population in the United States. These discussions are happening and the events are happening. We've got 3 guys who had DUIs, right? Just who tried to walk out of it. The one guy was a white guy who goes, oh, look, I'm going through a divorce. And, you guys need to hook a brother up. I'm law enforcement. And the cop's like, I can smell alcohol off your breath. You should have thought about that. And he goes, well, you're going to ruin my career as an ICE officer. These 3 events are going to happen. Mark my words. A video of them getting orders, a video of a sexual assault, and a recording somewhere in the White House or at DHS of them saying, fuck the laws. Let's just do it.
I agree. Yeah. No, I listen. The problem is by the time it comes out, that's the whole thing. We need to stop this now. And we're watching it. We between me and you, that we could make common sense. I mean, just like you said, there's no way 200. You got 15,000 people that are out there lawless. I mean, this is America. I mean, everybody understands that there's laws, and you're watching these videos play. I mean, I just read an article where they literally shot a woman 5 times, arrested her, and then realized she's an American citizen and dropped charges on her. But meanwhile, she was shot 5 times.
Oh, that's another video we haven't seen yet where they actually murder someone.
Yeah.
That's coming.
That's coming.
Yeah.
That'll be off a body cam.
Well, we have seen assaults like what took place here in New York City at the immigration office. They grabbed that 5-foot-tall Hispanic woman who barely spoke any English at all, threw her against the wall. I mean, this guy must have been 6'2", 6'3", maybe 230, 240. I mean, solid guy.
And
threw her against the wall, banged her head against the floor, stands over her, and smiles and grins, saying adios. Right?
And a Latino officer.
Right. Imagine
Explain that shit to me. Explain that shit to me.
I can't.
Listen. What do you mean? Guys, look, what do you mean? Just like you had during the Holocaust, you had Jews also that went against and worked for the Nazis, and just like right now, you have people. I mean, you always have that certain. Yeah, you always have that certain group of, individuals that are just like, they don't care about the rest of the world. It's like, as long as I'm okay, as long, it's like, people that you call them Uncle Toms. There's a reason for it, what I'm saying to you, these names, because they forget where they came from. They forget who they are, and they're the ones that feel they need to prove there's something to stay in that circle because, they obviously could see the support. And that's the crazy part. Because like you're saying, like, just think about the conversations that are being said, how the name calling and all of these, and how the Latino and Hispanic ICE officers are around and taking it and participating. Just think about that.
Well, at least there's something I learned at Auschwitz is that pre-Holocaust, right? Pre-Shoah, the capos at Dachau were almost all criminals. These were the ones who were put in charge of each barracks. And some of them were Jewish, right? There's criminals in every class and every culture. And those weren't being done.
You got 2 right here with you, Malcolm.
No, I mean real ones. Okay. I mean real ones, Bugsy Malone kinds. And or Bugsy Siegel. But then when you got to the Shoah, everything after that was survival, right? It's not like the people who were in the Sonderkommando who had to move the bodies and things like that. That's survival. It's the people who make a conscious choice in 1930 to 1935 Nazi Germany who were criminals and sent there who go, oh, I'm going to get in good. Different animal. Yeah. And in every society, we have that. Every society has that. But I have police officers now, law enforcement, who have said they're going to do that. And there's no fucking immunity for them.
Hey, Malcolm, while I have you and of course Lev, I did want to just sort of get your impression of yesterday's fawning over Mohammed bin Salman
Oh,
in the
jeez.
in the Oval Office. I really wanted to, and I want to remind our family here that Mohammed bin Salman, um, according to our intelligence community, played a role in the 9/11 attacks. And I'm sure that when you watched that shit show
Mhm.
in the Oval Office, you noticed standing directly behind the couch was our Secretary Howard Lutnick,
Right.
who was former president and CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, who lost
Oh,
600 and
oh,
who lost who
oh.
lost 658 employees in his New York office, one of whom was his brother.
You
So
went
I
right there,
really
didn't
kind
you?
of wonder, and I've known Howard for about 30 years now. I do truly wonder what was going through his mind at that time, watching the president basically fawning over Mohammed bin Salman, making up bullshit stories that they're going to invest somewhere between 500 billion and $1 trillion into America when their entire GDP is 1.27 trillion for the year 2025. So are they either going to invest 50% up to 100% of their GDP in America? How the fuck does that math work?
First off, Michael, uh, I am going to chide you for being the guy. You went there. You went right the fuck there. And that is an amazing statement. How the former chair of Cantor Fitzgerald can sit there knowing that 15 of the 16 hijackers were Saudi, and the 16th was a citizen of the United Arab Emirates who was born in Saudi Arabia. Okay. Trust me, I spent my entire career after 9/11 learning about these guys. But the very fact that they see their ideology and Trump's access to Saudi Arab money supersedes all decency and dignity. Jamal Khashoggi, say what you will about him. The guy, he had some radical leanings towards Hamas and all these other groups, and some of his sympathies were very fundamentalist Islamic, but that does not give a person a right to kidnap him in a foreign embassy, cut him up, on which we have recordings of. They have recordings of it. I've heard parts of the recordings, and the Arabic is solid. That guy was a doctor cutting that man into pieces and discussing how to do it. Why there was so much plastic on the floor. How to use sponges to mop up the blood. And the fact that we have now thrown human rights out of the State Department and America is now operating on one principle. I will take your fucking money for my family. That's the principle that the Trump administration is operating on. He doesn't care whether it's soaked in blood. All he's concerned about is F-35 sales and for them to put money under the table to him. Because prior to Donald Trump, no American president could be bought by an Arab sheikh. They just couldn't
By
do it. I
anybody.
heard people complain about that when I lived in Abu Dhabi and was hanging around the royals there. They were upset you couldn't really bribe them. Now, bribe them. Shoot, they'll bribe themselves for you.
And it gets even crazier than that because there's some more breaking news that came out. I
Oh,
think
please.
just earlier today that Eugene Vindman, Alexander Vindman, who's a congressman right now,
Yes.
basically is saying that when he was national security officer or whatever, that there's a recording between Donald Trump and MBS in 2000, I think 17, that he says that it has to be come out and be played because if we play it, it's something that is outrageous. Now I don't know what's on that recording, but But he just literally, it was the past day is been break. Take a look. I mean, think about what that conversation could be about. It was in 2017 between Trump and MBS. This was around the same time, wasn't it? Around during the Khashoggi.
Yeah. It was soon after, I think. But I got to tell you something straight up. I am not the guy to hold a fucking secret like that. To say, well, there's a classified recording of Donald Trump at MBS, and it would be
Yeah.
awful. No. Why
Same
don't these
chance.
people, if you're going to drop
I
the
don't know.
fucking dime, drop it right into the
Thank you.
phone
I'm with you, bro.
and call that shit right out.
Okay,
I'm
so
with you.
let me bring up what Lev is talking about here, if I
Okay,
might.
go on.
Go ahead, Michael.
1 hour ago, in fact, on Time magazine, there's a picture of Eugene Vindman. This congressman knows what Trump told MBS after Khashoggi's killing. He says the public needs to see the transcript. He does not have that recording. There's another transcript in Washington waiting to come to light. Representative Eugene Vindman, a Virginia Democrat, is alleging that there was a shocking 2019 call between President Donald Trump and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia following the brutal killing of Jamal Khashoggi that the public needs to hear. Vindman knows about it because he was working at the time as a lawyer on the White House's National Security Council, which produced a classified summary of the conversation. Here's what Vindman told Time. For me, the call was shocking, and I think the American people deserve to hear the contents of that call.
Then tell us. Then tell us the content. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
It was
if
a
it's that,
perfect call, right?
this is what I mean. I agree with you, Malcolm. That's why we keep talking about all these people like Michael Wolff and now Eugene Vin and all these people. They come out. Oh, you got to hear this. If you hear this, this is gonna break you. And I heard. What are you
Drop the
holding on?
dime.
Exactly. What are we doing? What are we doing? I don't understand. I mean, like, and so, like, what are we supposed to know? How are we supposed to get it? Like, you come out and you say that. I mean, why don't you just tell us what was on the call?
You know, but good for you. Yeah, good for you, Lev, because you're right, and Malcolm is right as well. Eugene Vindman is a member of Congress, former, with the within government,
National Security Council.
heard national security, heard a recording that discussed the murder, execution, and dismemberment of a U.S. citizen, of a Washington Post journalist. And all this time since 2019 said
6 years.
nothing?
6
What
years.
the flying fuck?
And still is
Said
saying nothing. And still
But
is
you know
saying
what
nothing.
pissed him off? Let me go more into the article. Lev, what pissed Eugene off?
What?
Vindman's unusual decision to speak about the sensitive work he was involved with on the National Security Council came about quickly this week. He says the president forced his hand. He was in his Capitol Hill office on Tuesday when he heard that Trump had defended the Crown Prince during their Oval Office meeting in response to a question about Khashoggi, a Washington Post columnist. Trump said on Tuesday the Saudi leader knew nothing about Khashoggi's 2018 death.
Oh,
and
there
didn't
it is.
happen.
There
All
it
of a sudden,
is.
That's the breaking fucking point for Vindman. How many times it didn't bother Vindman that Jared fucking Kushner got over $2 billion from the Saudi Investment Authority, despite the fact that the people who are in the finance department for the Saudi Investment Authority said that Jared is the least competent person to manage their money that they have ever been before.
I agree. I mean, like I said, I don't understand how these people are allowed to hold. He's a congressman. He worked. I mean, for
He
6
has
years,
immunity.
and you have immunity, and okay, and whatever the
If
reason.
he were to
okay,
say that on the floor
He could do it.
as an official statement, I heard this, and what's he
Thank
gonna
you.
do? Fucking call you out and say he wants you hung for treason? He's doing that now.
Exactly. That's exactly. He should go on the floor right now and say, "This is what I heard. This is bullshit. This is, and keep the pressure on. This is the time. This is when we should be." And somebody said, by the way, MBS is laughing. I agree. The watching that smirk face, the way MBS was sitting there in the Oval Office, watching how Trump was defending him, especially after the question when he said, "Don't embarrass our guest here," like that. I mean, the smirkness, I mean, it was disgusting, folks.
And
I mean,
here's what Time continues to say. Trump's defense of the crown prince outraged Vindman. This is the outrage that is bringing Vindman to the table now, whose work on the National Security Council staff during Trump's first term involved monitoring the contents of sensitive phone calls between Trump and foreign leaders. And here's Vindman's quotes. "We can't whitewash what he did. Well, motherfucker, you've been
What
doing
did
it
he
now
do?
for 6
what
years."
he what did he do? What did he
What did
do?
he do?
Well,
Is he going to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's classified"?
This is what I'm saying. This bullshit classified guys. Same thing with the Epstein files. I'm hearing from my sources that that's one of the things they're going to use. Also, that CERN is national security. They're going to use classification. They're going to use, investigation. This shit is such bullshit. It's not even funny. Meanwhile, the people have to suffer. This is incredible.
yeah. Meanwhile, of course, Stephen Chung, who's over there at the White House comms, he's White House comms director, claimed that Vindman is a bitter backbencher who nobody takes seriously. He is a serial liar and was part of the hoax relating to the perfect Ukraine call. This is what we have. Can I just, as we try to wind this up,
Stephen
I want,
Chung.
I want both of your um, opinions and commentary on what we learned about Representative Stacey Plaskett and engaging in texting with the worst pedophile rapist in America's history while I'm sitting up there having my life torn apart under subpoena. She's texting with him questions that she should be asking. Are you as offended with this and with Hakeem Jeffrey's statement about no censure is necessary because this has nothing to do with her. This has to do with our successful win in terms of getting the bill passed to release the Epstein files. Are you as
Oh,
pissed off as I am?
have you seen the video, the text messages?
Oh, yeah.
What was the nature of them? Because I hadn't seen that. All I heard was that there was
All financial. All financial.
so she was getting advice on
Yes.
finances.
Yes.
No,
On questions, but she's getting advice from Jeffrey fucking Epstein.
I hear you. Okay,
She
that's like
can't
taking
do her own
childcare advice
homework.
from fucking Goebbels. Marta Goebbels. Okay, but I understand that. It's the problem is the Democrats are their own problem. We discuss this all the time. Instead of Hakeem Jeffrey saying, "Hey, listen, that was financial advice. It was wrong, but it's not up to censure," and or whatever. But to these fucking deflections like that we are in a normal 2015 era of governance.
Can I stop
Right.
you for 1 second, Malcolm?
Go on.
Just 1 second. I also want to just mention the fact that at the time that she took money from Jeffrey Epstein, because Little St. James Island is in her district, I think it's
He had
important.
donors.
As a donor, he had already been charged twice with being a sexual predator, a child rapist, and so on.
Yeah.
Hey, little Lev. Um, just imagine that she's still in communication with this guy. Do you also know that somebody asked her, with the donation money that she got, did you ever return it to Epstein? And her comment was no. She donated it. She claims that she donated it to a women's cause charity.
Well, that should be easy to prove.
Well, I haven't
See the
seen
check.
anything.
See the check stub.
Well, let me put it to you this way. This is how I look at the situation, and I'm going to say it, because you guys know me. I don't sugarcoat anything, First of all, I think the fact that start off with Jeffries. Let's go with Jeffries. The fact that Jeffries came out and was talking about not checking and censoring her and saying we should. I think that's bullshit. I think this is the problem, the cover ups and everything. I think the fact that she was talking to Epstein and took money for him after and the fact that she was the congresswoman for Little St. John Island, where a lot of these things happen and everything else. She needs to be looked at. That we need to look at her phone. We need to see what the text messaging was. We need more contact. We can't, because all we saw was those texts. Because from those texts, yes, you could, and again, Michael, because he's our family and he's our brother. Yes, it's disgusting to see that he had to be put through that, or anybody put through that. But I do understand from a standpoint of taking information from an informant, because criminals always get information, but it doesn't look like her information was just as an informant. It looks like she had more relationship with Epstein than just that. Why? I say because the texting that we seen comes from, she's the first one to text. So she's texting him early in the morning. So there obviously had to have been conversation prior to the hearings and that we need to definitely take a look. What was the relationship between her, Epstein, financially?
What did she know?
What did she know? What was going on the island? Was there anything that she did or did not? That should definitely be looked at. But the fact that you personally, and I know it pisses you off, Michael, but I don't think, I looked at the texting and stuff. They were going after Trump, not you. You were just.
Oh, I'm not saying that it was going
She
after
wasn't.
me.
Yeah, she wasn't going. Yeah,
I'm saying,
yeah,
while my life, and Lev, because you
yeah.
testified
Absolutely,
before Congress,
absolutely,
and Malcolm, I think you've testified in front of Congress too. This
3
was
times.
one for me 7 times. They had me up there for 9 hours. I'm not offended at the question. Had she asked me those questions on her own, I would have said, good job, here's a pat on the back. The fact that she's in communicado with Jeffrey Epstein, and the fact that Hakeem Jeffries doesn't think that's relevant, it's nothing to me shy of hypocrisy, and it's that hypocrisy that cost us the election in 2025.
Yeah,
You
and you know
cannot
what?
call out the other side unless you're prepared to call out the misdeeds in your own party as well.
And now is a good time to start the fucking Epstein relationship purge of whoever.
Whoever,
Right?
absolutely.
And, I mean, if she were smart, she would freaking come on her knees and get on her knees and say, this was wrong. I should have done it. I'm going to show you the receipts of the checks that I sent back. He was a constituent in my district, blah, blah, blah. And now let's fucking take care of everybody else. The vote did fail, but now you can't use this as a diversion against Donald Trump himself, who may have been, I don't know what his role was, but I know there's at least 1,683 references to him in just what the files from the family, the estate, have given him. And, we need to get to the bottom of everyone who is involved. Was she a beneficiary or was she a participant? Most likely she was a beneficiary of his political largesse, right?
Great. So she basically, sold her morality for $1. Lev, do me
There you go.
favor.
And that shit needs to be put on the table.
Amen to that. Lev, take us out.
100%. I mean, on that note, I think that's what we keep talking about. And it's not about left, right. It's not about Democrats, about Republicans. It's about, our democracy, us, we're human beings. So that's why enough of this partisan bullshit. We need to be able to, it doesn't matter who you are. If you were associated with Epstein, your ass needs to be called out. Enough of this shit. We need to get to the bottom of it. And that's why, folks, we need you to support us, to stay with us, and to do your thing. Hit that subscribe button, hit that paid subscribe, contribute to our mission, because we're not sitting still. I know it feels like, there's a lot of talk, but believe me, there's a lot of action happening behind the scenes also. And believe me, when it happens, you will be there with us and you will see it. I know a lot of you are saying, Alex, I see Vindman as a hero. Vindman's this. Listen, folks, we're not here to talk about Vindman as a hero or not. The bottom line is the difference between us, the three people you see sitting here, and all of these other so-called heroes is that, we're sitting here risking giving you this information. If I get a phone call and I hear it, we break it to you. I don't go sell it to a story. Michael doesn't go sell a story. Malcolm doesn't go sell stories or books to be able with information. We're here trying to save our democracy. To be able, if this is such a breaking story, and if there's so much there, what we're saying is tell us what's going on. We're not blaming you causing it, but go ahead. What is now, by just coming out and saying the fact that, you need to hear this, that's just causing controversy and showing again a lack of, be a hero, be a patriot, get on that floor, come out and tell us exactly what you heard, what happened, and let's go. Let's rock and roll. We'll stand behind you all day long. And that's what I'm talking about. So please, folks, stand with us, support us, and we'll be there with you to, do what we can to save our democracy.
Yeah. So Caroline Levitt, I took a look at the video. Caroline Levitt actually made this statement today. Any order from the President of the United States is a lawful order. That's what she said, quote unquote.
Right. And the only person where that actually fits the mark is what Malcolm said before. A king, a monarch, a supreme leader, a ruler, right? That's the only time, not a president.
Yep. Well, there you are. That's where we're at. I'm going to do a screaming ass Substack video. You can be damn sure of that, because how come no one in the room, no generals who are at the Joint Chiefs of Staff level are going, whoa, wrong. That means that Donald Trump can order the massacre of 250 women and children in a village called My Lai, right, in Vietnam, and Trump would have given medals to William Calley based on this analysis. That is the incident that made, and the Holocaust and the orders of the German army that made the U.S. Armed Forces under Uniform Code, Military Justice, Article 92, say that you cannot follow an unlawful order. That is an order that orders you to do a crime, abuse your authority, or your position. I'm going to talk more about that in my own Substack.
And with that, you'll notice that there's a movie that's out right now called Nuremberg that exactly deals with the same issue. You could turn around and say it was a lawful order, I was following an order. You commit a crime against humanity, you commit a crime, your ass needs to be held accountable. Gentlemen, appreciate you as always. Unleashed, we have to figure out how and where we're taking this show on the road. Because our voices need to be projected loud and clear across not just this Substack platform, but across this great country.
Yeah. One of you millionaires out there, give us a call.
Be well, everybody. Thank you, Lev. Thank you, Malcolm.
Take
I'm
care,
speaking
guys.
to you guys private. You got it.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.